Hi, Casters. Welcome back to the second episode of the Vet Q&A, where I share some questions that you have with our veterinarian, Dr. Luqman, and he answers it and provides some insight into your burning cat questions. Hi, Doctor. How are you doing today?
Hello, Isabel. Hello, all the catsters out there. Thank you so much for inviting me back to the Q&A session. Really excited to get to it. And yeah, this is one of my favorite things to do, is like a Q&A kind of like thing, because I love seeing what people are thinking about, because it's always different from what we're thinking about. So yeah, I'm like very keen to get into this.
Let's jump right in. Well, before we do, please remember to subscribe if you aren't already part of our community. It's a really fun community filled with cat lovers, and we post weekly cat content from me, Dr. Luqman, Dr. Karen. We do product reviews. It's just a bunch of fun. So please remember to subscribe if you're a cat lover and turn on the notifications so you don't miss a thing. Let's begin.
Let's go.
Okay. So the first question we have is from Wanzovinia. I'm not pronouncing this right, but anyway, the question is, kibbles are bad for kittens. Thoughts, please?
Wow. Okay. Way to start off with one of like a very philosophical question, I should say. Okay. The truth is, every vet you see will have a different answer for this question. Generally speaking, you will have a bias against kibbles because many veterinarians and veterinary nutritionists believe that kibbles usually do not have an appropriate composition for kittens, in so much as they usually have way too much carbohydrates than what is preferred. And usually the amount of protein and fats are there, but we would prefer it to be somewhat higher. And of course, kibbles offer less moisture than, canned food or fresh food, which is why you would say, kibbles are bad for kittens. There's no right or wrong answer here. Personally, I do not prefer putting kittens on kibble, because I prefer to eventually transition them to a fresh diet. So if I am, if I have that forethought, then I would want my kittens on a canned diet or something, so that they're used to like eating moist food from like a younger age, so that the eventual transition will be easier. Kibbles do have some positives, but they also have some negatives. Ultimately, this is up to you and what you want for your kitten. Personally, I would not recommend kibbles if given the option, but if I had no option, I would say, kibbles are fine. With the intent being that I would be on the lookout for something different. But like I said, every vet will have a different answer for you for this question. It really comes down to like your finances, your kitten's breed, your kitten's health, and your long-term goals with your pet. So based on all that, yes, you will find many vets recommend, slowly transitioning off of kibbles. So yeah, but thank you for the question. Actually, this is something that we could literally talk about for hours, and it's a very wide open question. But that's just my opinion on that. Is I'm not anti-commercial food. I always tell people this. I am not anti-commercial food. I am pro-option. I like to give owners options, and hopefully they can decide what's best for their cat. So yeah, if given the option, I would not pick kibbles. But that doesn't mean I'm like anti-kibble or anti-commercial food. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it depends on your socioeconomic position and your cat, and kibbles aren't necessarily bad per se.
Yeah.
I mean, bad means that there's no nutritional value, but there are better options. I think that's
Definitely.
kind of, yeah.
The other thing is, some owners will find that if their kitten is used to kibbles from like, the breeder or the shelter or from wherever they've adopted the kittens, these kittens may actually be what we call, display a sign of neophobia towards canned food or fresh food, in so much as they would actually not know that it's food. And neophobia means like being scared of new things. So, it's very challenging for some owners who are busy or who don't quite understand what's going on to like get their kittens to transition. So for those kind of people, obviously I wouldn't, demonize kibbles and say that, it's absolutely evil or something like that. So I usually look at it from like a case to case perspective. my own personal opinion is I always like to have a lot of options. And with a lot of options, I always prefer to go for more either canned or fresh, raw, as well as like one of my personal favorite diet archetypes, raw diets. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But like I do like to remind people, like, your kitten is an individual. They may have preferences. It may take time to transition them. And again, yeah, nothing against commercial foods. I'm just pro option. So I like to keep the horizons open. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Next question is from Pam Craig 911. And Pam asks, why does my ragdoll come into my bedroom in the middle of the night and meow loudly? This is similar to a question we've had in the past. But
yeah.
Similar
to something we've covered before. A very interesting question as well. Okay. The main thing you have to keep in mind with cats when they meow, meowing is typically a form of communication that cats have developed when they want something from humans. When cats interact with other cats, they very rarely meow. They have other forms of communicating with other cats through scent, body language, etc. So meows are actually something cats, have developed to solicit favors from humans. The idea being that humans are, particularly females, apparently. Now, I'm not one to generalize, but I'm just telling you what's out there. Females are very sensitive to high-pitched voices because it tends to, in some ways, mimic a baby's cry, like a human baby's cry. And there is a theory that cats have, learned to meow in that kind of like needy, high-pitched kind of sound, which is what we call like the meow, because they know it will get attention, and then they can solicit whatever it is they want from their owners. So if your ragdoll is meowing in the middle of the night, she basically wants something. Now, what that is, we don't know because we're not inside your ragdoll's head. My guess is she wants attention, or she wants food, or she wants to play, or if it's a female, sorry, I'm saying she, by the way, your ragdoll might be a male, but if she is a female, she might actually be, and if she's not spayed, she might be in heat. So she will actually call out for a male. And since cats are more active at night, you're more likely to catch her doing this at night. The only thing we can say for sure is your cat is trying to get your attention. Why? You'd have to get inside your cat's head. Most likely your cat wants your attention because your cat wants something from you, and it has worked in the past. So you've sort of reinforced that, you've heard your cat meow before in the past in the middle of the night, and it has woken you up. So your cat eventually got something from you, whether it was your attention or, a toy, food, whatever it was. And you've sort of reinforced the behavior. And now your cat has trained you to wake up whenever they meow in the middle of the night. So yeah, as far as the why, it's to get your attention. Now, what your cat wants your attention for is something you'd have to like explore, a little bit further to like get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, Melly definitely also went through a period where she woke me up in the middle of the night meowing, and it turns out she just wanted a midnight snack. So I had to like wake up. But the fact that I woke up the first time and gave in to her request meant that she knew she could do it again. So she did it again. So you just kind of have to untrain that type of behavior, which can be hard and complex and different in every cat parent situation, but it's something you're going to have to a journey that you're going to have to walk with your cat.
It's part of the reason why many people say cats are smarter than dogs. The logic being they're not actually testing their intellect in that sense. They're saying that dogs are trainable, whereas cats can train humans by like in this kind of like, not to say like rascal ways, but like almost like a very, it's very cute because they're like doing it in a very small, furry, cute body. But if you think about it, it's basically they are training you to get something from you. So this is why some people say that, cats have staff, whereas dogs have owners, because cats eventually do learn how to like manipulate and train humans. But it's just fascinating. Like that's, part of the package with cats. So you do have to like untrain them, and you have to be careful about that. Yeah.
That's definitely the sass. We live for the sass. So yeah, I'll be a cat staff any day. Okay, next question is from AD. My cat doesn't speak, but can hear. Why?
Oh, interesting question. Um, I'm pretty sure a cat can actually meow if your cat wanted to, unless they had their vocal cords removed. But to my knowledge, in many parts of the world, we no longer practice that. It's probably more well known for dogs, like a debarking surgery, but that again is also not really practiced anymore in many parts of the world. There are ethical concerns. The only reason your cat would not meow, like the only medical reason is if they've had their vocal cords removed. Other than that, if your cat is just silent, it's essentially like you have something like an introverted child. Some children are more quiet than others. You have to remember that your cat is, an individual biological entity, and they do have their own personality. If all cats were the same, then all cats would be silent because your cat is silent. But that's obviously not the case because some cats do meow more frequently. Your cat is not deaf, like you mentioned, so your cat can hear. And in fact, deaf animals, they tend to make louder noises. So like deaf dogs and deaf cats, they actually meow or bark way louder because they can't even hear themselves. So they have no real, they don't know when to like manage their tone. So just like all the time. So I would say that unless, of course, your cat has, had the surgery, which I seriously doubt, that is just your cat's personality. And if they're otherwise fine, you don't really have anything to worry about. In fact, I'm sure many people would be envious of you, like people who live in apartments, etc., where there are rules against noise and all that kind of stuff. They would love to have a silent pet, which is why people who do live in apartments often look for pets that don't make noise, like fish or hamsters or snakes or something like that. So yeah, I would probably file this under personality, like you just have a shy cat. Doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with them. Your cat may have lost their voice, like a sore throat, akin to what happens in humans. But again, like when we have a sore throat, it doesn't last for, months or years or anything like that. So if your cat has not meowed in a long time, the odds of it being a sore throat are like very little. If it's a recent thing that your cat used to meow but is not meowing now, then yes, I would see a veterinarian because there's a chance that your cat does have a sore throat. But other than that, I wouldn't worry too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not all cats meow, and that's okay. That's perfectly normal. Okay, next question is from MD Peckham. Why does my cat flip over his water bowl? That's a good question.
Okay. That's very cute. Your cat likely is playing with the water and just exploring. And what happens is the water bowl itself does not have a good grip base. So your cat requires minimal effort to just tip it over. It's similar to how children sometimes, when you give them something to eat and they're still, not used to eating like adults do, or even some adults, I'm not, okay, let's not go there. But some people eat, I would not say differently, in an interesting manner. Let's say it like that. Okay, and move on to the cats. So chances are your cat is playing, and cats actually are very well attuned to sudden changes in movement, which is why they're actually very, very much drawn to water fountains. And many people who say that, I worry about my cat's hydration, one of the recommendations is to get them a water fountain. Reason being, cats have a lot of rods in their eyes. So these rods are very good at detecting changes in motion. So when they see a water fountain flowing, they're intrigued and they go and explore. There is a chance your cat actually once accidentally tipped over the water bowl, was fascinated, and is now just repeating this pattern. The other chance is that, like I mentioned, your cat, the water bowl itself does not have a good base grip or anything like that to stay put. So your cat can easily, like inadvertently, just tip it over, even when they don't mean to, like, tip it over. For example, they're trying to get to the other side and they just like put their paw in the bowl, and because they're so heavy and the bowl has no grip, it just tips over, and they don't have water anymore. Most people would not actually consider this a really big deal, but I actually would address this if possible. I would actually invest in something like a water fountain. A water fountain usually holds a lot of water, so it has enough weight that a cat cannot tip it over. Or I would invest in a water bowl that has, a really nice rubber-based grip on the floor. And then obviously I would put it on a surface where the grip actually works. And the only reason I would advise this is because cats need water every single day. So it is one nutrient that you cannot actually expect your cat to make on their own, even though there are natural biochemical processes in the body that do make water on their own. And your cat does derive some hydration from their food. They still do not get enough from just these two sources. So they do need to drink water every single day. My only concern is, for example, you're out of the house, and as soon as you leave, your cat tips over their water bowl, and they're thirsty for the entire day. And once your cat is thirsty, dehydrated, it just can quickly snowball into other really complicated, unwanted health issues. So while this might be like, cute in some context, I would actually address this if possible. Now, what's also fascinating is if your cat loves to play with the water bowl, like it's his favorite plaything, you can still keep it as their plaything, but then just get them another source of water that will be there all the time if they actually are thirsty. So yeah, I actually would address this if possible.
Yeah, it might be just like intriguing for the cat, like
Exactly. Yeah,
water might just be fun.
Feels good, feels different, feels cold. Maybe he's just playing and then he just tips it over, and then oops, there's no more water left to drink. They do get in trouble every now and then, but that's part of the fun, I guess, of keeping cats.
Yeah, and I also remember in the last episode we briefly touched upon some people branding cats as being, a little bit deliberate and doing things on purpose to be, difficult. But
yeah.
I don't think cats would tip over their water bowls intentionally. I think it's either they're intrigued, or they can't judge the weight difference or something like that. So I don't think it's like a deliberate action. It's more so than something just by accident or so.
It might be. That's very interesting that you mentioned that. Actually, it actually might also be, a case of you've trained your cat to tip over their water whenever they want your attention. Which I hope it's not. I hope that's not the case. There is a chance it's that as well. But I've never heard of that sort of cat training before. But then again, every day you get new cases. This might be one of those. In either case, yeah, I would not. I would take your cat's hydration seriously. So
yeah,
whatever it is, if it's like, your cat being naughty, your cat being intentional or not intentional, tipping it over, etc., I would actually rectify this issue and get them something to drink water from that they cannot tip over. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, if you're able to get a water fountain, 10 out of 10 recommend.
Recommended. Yeah, definitely recommended.
Okay, next question. We have Pukapizisha. I'm not even going to try. Okay, next question is, why does my young 1-year-old cat like to bite? And how can I get her to stop?
Oh, okay. She has probably been encouraged to bite as a kitten when she was playing. So when kittens play, they actually practice hunting, which is actually the same reason why adult cats play. So when adult cats are playing, they're actually practicing hunting. And if your cat has been encouraged as a kitten to playfully bite, or if you don't stop them as a kitten, whenever they do playfully bite, they quickly learn that it's okay to do so. And true enough, as a kitten, it might be very adorable because they still have their baby teeth or their milk teeth. Eventually, in a few months' time, you'll have a cat that's in their teenage, state of mind. And they have adult teeth. They are much stronger. They definitely pack a punch when they bite. And if they've not been discouraged to stop before, they actually will carry on doing this over and over, like whenever they play with you. The way to actually train cats, no matter what you want from a cat, is the correction has to come really quickly. So anytime you see your cat going for a bite when you're playing with them, you have to immediately stop and just not yell at them, but you have to give like a stern, like, no, like just like that. You don't have to be sarcastic. It's like, no, or you don't have to be like, You don't have to yell, which I'm not going to do. Like, it's like, you don't, nah, you don't do that. But it has to be a stern, it has to come from like a very stern, definite way that you have to say no. And then you just put them down and you just stop interacting with them for a while. And that kind of gives them the indication that something they've done is not correct. The other thing you should do, which I encourage all people with kittens and cats to do, is play with them with something that you hold at a distance. For example, a feather wand or something. Essentially, you want them to take their biting, what do you call, all their biting out on a toy and not you. So you want to discourage biting whenever you're touching them. At the same time, if they are going to pounce on, bite, and then eventually what most cats will do is start bunny kicking something, you do not want it to be your arms, legs, hands, or feet. You want it to be a toy. And that way you're safe and the cat's happy. So yeah, this will require some degree of retraining. One other thing you can do, which I've heard helps some owners, but this is an advice that I think works 3 out of 5 times in my own experience. It might work for you, may not work for you, is to get a new scratching post. A lot of the times I've found that when I've advised owners to get a new scratching post or something new for their cat to scratch and play with, they suddenly seem more interested in that, and they kind of like move on from biting their owners. Like it's like, oh, whatever. I used to do that. Now I'm like, in my new scratching post era, like I'm like a scratching post cat now, or I'm a cat tree cat now. Like, preferences, evolution, whatever you want to call it, like, evolution of taste, flavor, like that kind of thing, like a change, essentially. Sometimes that does help, yeah. So some cats may eventually learn to take their frustrations out on a new scratching post or a new toy or a new cat tree or a new cat wheel or something like that. So that might help as well. Like just switching things up, yeah, might definitely help too.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if your cat from kittenhood is only used to playing and biting toys, they would never be inclined to bite you. It would kind of be unusual for them.
Yeah.
But also, Dr. Luqman has a very nice kitten series. It is a 5-part series that it gives you all the information you need about kittens and being a kitten parent. So definitely check that out if that's for you. Next question is from Elsa Rushton.
Okay.
And Elsa asks, what are good methods to control diarrhea on cats with hyperthyroidism? Thanks.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay, so diarrhea is definitely a sign that can be associated with hyperthyroidism. It can also be associated with other conditions as well. And sometimes it can just be a standalone thing on its own, which is an issue. If your cat does have hyperthyroidism, though, we currently do not recommend dietary adjustments. So, like, generally speaking, for hyperthyroidism, there are 4, avenues of treatment. One is medication. One is radiotherapy, iodine. Third one is surgery, and the fourth one is dietary adjustments. Now, if you are interested in dietary adjustments, you need to note that these are something that are in their trial. So this is something that's still being studied by the scientific community. The logic here is that there is a theory that limiting the amount of iodine your cat gets will actually help control their hypothyroidism from a dietary point of view. So, hyperthyroidism, high iodine. So in the diet, we want to limit the amount of iodine. The concept being it might actually help the cat. But there is also a serious issue there, because many people rightfully have a concern that if we, do not offer cats iodine for a long period of time, it may actually make the hyperthyroidism much worse. So currently, we actually do not recommend dietary adjustments as the primary form of handling, hyperthyroidism or the signs associated with hyperthyroidism, which includes diarrhea. So if your cat does have diarrhea episodes with their hyperthyroidism, I would actually recommend consulting your veterinarian, because this disease in itself needs to, first of all, be evaluated to see how far it's progressed, because the signs are not like a switch. It's more like a dimmer. So they come on slowly, progressively, they get worse and worse and worse. And of course, this is a condition that has a generally good prognosis. So actually, once the cats are on medication, so once you control that, the signs actually eventually do go back down, and your cat, has a better quality of life. So yeah, if you are concerned about their diarrhea with regards to their hyperthyroidism, we would actually recommend not addressing the diarrhea itself. We would recommend going back to your vet and having something to control the hyperthyroidism, because that would have like a trickle-down effect, which would hopefully eventually control their diarrhea as well. But a very interesting question. And yeah, thank you so much for sending this our way. It's very interesting.
Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, next question is a little bit of a longer question, a little bit of story time.
Right.
Okay, so this question is from Rocket the Cat, 2023.
Okay.
Rocket was abandoned as a very small kitten and was not socialized around other cats early in life. He has a lot of energy and sometimes bites hard when he gets frustrated or he plays too hard. Is there something I can do for him to help him calm down naturally without using medication? And how should I best teach him that this type of biting is not acceptable? He also chews on metal and other things when he wants my full attention or when I'm trying to sleep, which worries me, and I would like to stop this behavior as well. He has plenty of toys and food and attention. Thank you for your help.
Oh, okay, that was a story and then some. I initially thought this was going the same way in the question we just addressed about the cat that bites too hard. But like I said, it's like everything is an individual, which is why every case is so interesting, because there might be a difference here. I'm very intrigued by the fact that you said your cat bites on metal to get your attention. Okay, there is a chance your cat is indeed biting on metal to get your attention. There's also a chance that your cat is biting on metal for health reasons. And this is a condition known as pica. And pica is when cats try to eat something or chew on something or lick something that really does not have any nutritional value. Interestingly, pica is also diagnosed in humans, and someone who has pica is actually speaking to you right now. So yeah, I actually do have pica.
Interesting.
But yeah, I love eating ice. I'm like the only one I know who loves eating ice, like ice like popcorn. Different different story. I feel like ice is so tasty, but then everyone who like looks at me like, "What are you talking about? Like it's ice, it's water." But okay. Anyway, point being, sometimes cats can, seem very destructive or, attempt to like bite things, lick things, etc., that are not normally food. So you do want to rule out medical issues. Once you rule out medical issues, you can tackle it like a behavior problem. So yeah, metal it's definitely up there in terms of weirdest things I've seen a cat like chew on. Or like attempt to chew on. So yeah, I would definitely recommend seeing a veterinarian. There's also a different approach here. If your cat is 1 year old, did not interact with other cats when they were young, not well socialized with other cats, everyone who knows that, well, a lot of people like to say that, my cat suckles on me, like it looks like they're trying to nurse on you, like on your body or anything, like obsessively. I did find one study on this not too long ago, which somehow is just in my mind again, that said that this kind of incidence happens more frequently in cats that were weaned too early. So, premature weaning, either they lost their mother or they were weaned before they should have been. So these kind of cats are more likely to like, obsessively lick at or chew things that they're not supposed to. Or it can also happen in all male litters. And we don't exactly know why, but litters that have only male kittens have higher incidences of this happening. There's one theory, but it's not proven. It's a theory that male cats are intrinsically more competitive, so they're always competing for their mother's teats. But there are many theories that actually contradict this. They say that kittens, once they have their favorite teat, they stay on it. So that's like it's up for debate in the scientific community. But that is something you might also be dealing with over here, is that a cat that was weaned too early, or a cat who lost, did not have enough interactions with other kittens growing up because they were not with their mother long enough, and is now obsessively or compulsively chewing on stuff to get your attention and biting really hard. So yeah, part of this might be behavior, part of this might be medical. It's a very interesting situation you're in. But yeah, I would recommend starting off with a veterinary consult, just so you have a better idea of what's going on, because you do want to rule out health issues before you tackle it as a behavior issue. Because what can happen if you just assume it's a behavior issue is that it will not get fixed because it's a health issue, right? And then it'll be more frustrating for you and your cat, and then it just creates so much unnecessary tension. So the sooner you can figure it out, the easier applying the fix would be. But yeah, very interesting about the metal thing, and I do hope you figure out what that was. So if you are watching, in the comments, please do let us know what your vet said with regards to, him eating metal to get your attention. I do hope it's just a behavior thing, but if it is a medical thing, it'd be a very interesting case too. But yeah, thank you so much for writing in, though.
Yeah, for sure. Super interesting question. Okay, so next question is from Kiara HM23715. I adopted my cat back in October. She is just over a year old, spayed, and an indoor cat, and weighs 4.1 kilograms.
Okay.
I feed her around 20 grams of dry and 100 grams of wet food a day, spread out in 3 feedings. She is constantly trying to get out our food and even jumps on my toddler's high chair to get his food. I'm not feeding her enough. Or is she being greedy?
Oh, okay. I love this question.
Good question.
Right. The thing with this kind of question is, if you just give us the weight of the food that you're feeding her, we cannot tell if you're feeding her enough, because we don't know what the nutritional composition of the food itself is.
Mm-hmm.
A cat that weighs 4.1 kg is an indoor spayed cat, a year old. I adopted in October, right? I would say this cat's based on just without conducting a full medical exam, if I had to make a very educated guess, I would say your cat's daily calorie requirement is 185 to 200 kilocalories per day. Because the average for most cats falls around 190-ish. So I'm just giving a bit of window there. The thing is, we do know, we can always assume what your cat's caloric requirements are. But we cannot know if 20 grams of dry food is enough, because we don't know what the nutritional composition of the dry food is. Likewise, we don't know if 100 grams of the wet food is enough, because we don't know the nutritional composition. So hunger will set in when your cat feels like you're not getting enough nutrition. And cats that are young definitely have a higher metabolic demand than cats that are healthy adults in maintenance. And actually, healthy adults in maintenance, I would say, have the lowest metabolic demands. Senior cats actually do require more protein. We do recommend that because their absorption is not as good as a young, healthy cat. And younger cats even more so. So your cat might be hungry, yes, and you might have to reassess their nutrition, because you would have to look at the labels on whatever pet foods you're giving your cat to make sure that you're feeding them enough. There's also a chance that your cats are greedy eaters, and they are opportunistic feeders. So there's a chance that that's going on as well. However, I would say you definitely need additional input on your cat's nutritional, welfare. So either you have to go back to reading what's on your pet food labels, or if you're still not sure if the pet food label seems very vague or confusing or bizarre to you, it's best to just go and have your cat looked at by your vet, because they can actually figure out if something is causing them to be extra hungry, or if you're just not feeding them enough, or if it's both. And they can kind of give you a dietary adjustment from that. Again, I love this question. Spoiler alert, I just finished my certification. For the past 6 months, I was doing a certification on veterinary natural nutrition. So yeah, I'm now a certified veterinary nutritionist. And I was actually just starting our nutrition series, actually. And this is one of the most common questions that we get as nutritionists. It's I'm feeding X, they just give us the weight, and they give us the cat's weight, and they just say that we're feeding 120 grams or 150 grams. And we always say we need to see the actual label, because without that, we cannot tell you if your cat's eating enough. And I would say underfeeding a cat commercial food is actually somewhat dangerous, because usually commercial foods are very well balanced, as we all know. But the idea there is that, it's super balanced, so that if you feed them the exact amount required, your cat will get everything. But if you accidentally underfeed, they may actually fall low on essential nutrients, so which can be dangerous in the long run, obviously, because your cat's not getting what they need on a daily basis. I love this question. I could seriously go on about this for like 2-3 hours if I had to. But I would say you definitely need to check the label on your cat's food. And I would also advise having a quick chat with your veterinarian. And don't forget about like simple things. For example, parasites. If you have parasites along your GIT, they can actually take some of the food that your cat eats. So your cat may actually look skinny, but be always hungry because they're not eating. So every time they're eating, the parasites are being fed. So sometimes very simple things, which are like very easy to fix from a medical point of view, like you just deworm your cat. But if they're not addressed, they can become very frustrating for pet owners, because it's hard to like fill in the blanks as to what's causing this kind of like insane hunger drive. And yeah, at other times you just have a cat that's super greedy and just loves to eat, which is also a thing. But then we would always caution, like I always love to caution people to play it safe, like make sure there's nothing wrong. Make sure they're getting enough before you try to control what they eat. Because if they're not getting enough and you try to stop them from eating more, you'll have a cat that's even worse off, because now they're hungry and stressed. So you just want them to, you never want them to be hungry. It's just like us. Never go grocery shopping when you're hungry, guys, because you'll buy like extra. I'm sure we've all been there. Okay, I'm guilty of this myself. Same thing. If your cat's hungry and it sees food, it's just going to go for it. You know what I mean? Even when they're not supposed to. Similar logic, actually, because it's like the hunger, it's controlled by your brain, like that physiological response of like, I am hungry, I see food, I'm going in. Like that's been there, done that, guilty as charged. So yeah, I would definitely recommend a good starting point is reading the label on your cat food. If it's still not clear, please go see your veterinarian. They can also check your cat, run perhaps a quick stool sample, quick bloods, etc. And if your cat is fine, then you can reassess their nutritional needs and then like make necessary adjustments for your cat.
Yeah, for sure. And please subscribe if you want to see Dr. Luqman's.
Oh yes,
very excited.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Cat nutrition videos. It's going to be
we will talk about everything. It's gonna be fun. And we will eventually cook. And trust me, guys, if I can make something for cats in the kitchen, I do not cook for myself. So if I can make it, trust me, you guys can do it. Yes, anyone can. And the ingredients that we have for our recipes are not like they're in your grocery store. We're using like stuff like chicken, eggs, simple things. And all you'll really need is something like a coffee grinder if you have it. If you don't have it, that's fine. You just need a food processor or something like that. Just like mix everything up. It's going to be super fun. You guys are going to love it. I'm very excited about it. And yeah, we will be going into my kitchen for the first time because I don't go there myself. So yeah, it's
well, subscribe to see Dr. Luqman's kitchen and his cooking for cats.
Yes.
Okay, so we're at our final question for today's episode. Okay. And it is from Danny Seda. My 11-year-old adopted cat brings her toys and puts them beside me while I'm sleeping. Very cute, but why? Bless. That is very cute.
Oh, bless. Okay. Very nice question as well. Very cute gesture. I agree. Again, I would like to emphasize your cat does have a personality. It might be a personality preference. It might also be akin to how cats go out and hunt food and then just bring it back to their owners as sort of like an offering or a gift. Or in a way, they're saying that here, you need to practice how to hunt. So I'm leaving this in front of you to show you that this is what you're supposed to do. Or it could also be that your cat loves you so much that they feel like their possessions are safest under your watch. So when your cat does not, like when your cat is getting ready, like perhaps they're like, okay, it's nighttime, I'm going to probably go and eat something and, just chillax on. And I want my toys to be safe. Let me put them next to the person I love the most because I know they will take care of these toys for me because they've taken care of me. So there's also an element of like attachment there. So, your cat might be doing it as a way to like safeguard their possessions. It's similar to if you have someone you really trust with your, house keys or something, and you're like going away for a while and you're like, hey, can you like, look over my stuff and that kind of stuff. So it is possible, yes, that your cat is doing that. And I would say it's not wrong to assume that. I mean, no one's going to go inside your cat's mind and actually figure out why are you doing this. So it's not wrong to postulate that that is the reason. The other reason could be, like we mentioned before, your cat is just trying to teach you how to hunt or bringing you an offering or a gift, leaving it next to you. Again, it's their way of saying that you're a terrible hunter. But bless, I guess, it's like, it's a very cute gesture. Or it could just be their personality. Maybe they just like, getting your attention. They know that the toys will eventually get something from you in the morning. You'll wake up, you'll see the toys, you'll call them over. You'll say, why are you doing these cute things? You'll pet them more. You probably give them a treat or something like that. So they kind of put two and two together. So they're kind of like, let me scheme. Like if I put the toys here, chances are in about 4 to 5 hours, they're going to wake up. They're going to think I'm so cute. I'll probably get, some treats today or some extra loving, or they may decide, hey, let's not go to work. Let's stay home and like cuddle our cats. It could also be that, ultimately no one's going to go inside your cat's brain and, like figure this out for you, but it's not something to worry about from a medical point of view. Therefore, there's, it's open to interpretation. And there's no wrong answers here. Like, you wouldn't have to worry that your cat is doing this. It could be their personality. It could be them trying to teach you something. It could be them like trusting you enough, or it could be them wanting attention, or it could be all of them actually. You never know. But that is cute, and congratulations on having an 11-year-old cat. Again, senior cats, definitely a very, very interesting aspect of feline care. I think this needs to be explored more, because as we have advanced in veterinary care, cats are living longer. So we are seeing more and more what do you call senior cats come to us. We do have a senior cat series as well. So if you want additional tips for your senior cat, please do check that out. And yeah, it's a very lovely last question. So cute though. I'm just imagining it, and like what a way to like end the Q&A series with something so adorable. So yeah, thank you for writing in.
So cute. It could also be that your cat just wants you to play with him. Like, here's
Exactly.
toys, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, hey, let's play. Time for playtime. It's actually it's really fun to think about what might be going on in your cat's head. This is the part of like pet ownership that I think is like the most fun, when they do innocent stuff like this, where you're trying to figure out their idiosyncrasies. And the truth is, no matter who the vet is, no matter how well they're trained, if they've been practicing for 30, 40, 50 years, like if they were practicing before you were even born, they would not know the answer as well as you would, because you spend every day with your cat. So do not underestimate your ability to know your cat's personality. Because your veterinarian is a wonderful source for medical information. Your veterinarian is a wonderful source to let you know if what's happening is normal or concerning. But as far as normal idiosyncrasies, which is what this is, like bringing toys, you would know better than anyone in the world. And that's part of like a really fun part of pet ownership as well. It's like, yes, you rely on veterinarians to provide medical care, but then there is some things about your pet that only you know. And it's like a secret with your pets. So it's like, it's like, I got you kind of thing, which I find really fun. Like, and I love talking to my clients about, fun quirks that their pets have and everything. I remember I had one lady like 2 weeks ago. Her cat was hospitalized. The cat's fine now. So it's not like it's a happy ending. Okay. But the funny thing is, she brought over a drinking cup, like a glass cup. So she said that my cat only drinks water from this thing. And that was true, actually. The cat would not drink from a fountain, not from a bowl, not from nothing. Okay.
Oh, wow.
The cat would only drink water from a cup, like a person would, like, a glass cup, which I found so adorable. But again, you have to like, it's also like sheds light on the fact that there are some things that only you know. And it's like a really fun part of pet ownership, that you have this like bond with your pet, which is what makes every pet unique, in my opinion, anyway. But yeah, love the question. Thank you so much. It's like, what a nice, like, what a blessed question to end the the session with. It's like, ta-da! I suck at the heart thing. Like, is that a heart? Oh, okay.
It is
Let me
hard.
try. Yeah. Oh,
Mine
okay.
also is hard.
Yeah, Isabel's is better. Mine is like, I feel like I'm holding like a donut. It's not a hard. What am I doing? I'm looking at myself. I'm like, what is that? Okay, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely a reminder that if your cat is doing something that's unusual or confusing, but it's harmless and innocent, there's nothing to worry about. Rather just appreciate it and enjoy the moments that you have with your cat instead of trying to fix it. Because
Yeah,
if it's not something that needs to be fixed, then just enjoy it. Let them
exactly.
do what they want to do.
Embrace their personalities. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, remember, you do know your cat's personality better than your vet would because you spend more time with them. So it's just like your
Yeah.
partner. Like, you know your partner's personality better than a stranger does. Or the same thing I say when people go to work, how some people have a work personality and then they're different at home. So when your cat goes to the vet, they have their vet personality, which is different from when they're at home, which is why home visits are always so interesting for me. So yeah, as long as it's not medically harmful, and even if you do want peace of mind, you could ask your vet, by the way. You know, in my opinion, I don't think this is anything that's medically concerning.
Yeah.
I always encourage people, second opinions, third opinions, if you want them, please do go for them. I do not think there's anything wrong with what your cat is doing. I think it's very cute. It's very endearing. I do think it's an element of them really appreciating you or wanting your attention or both. But I don't think it's anything you should be worried about. And yeah, I would actually enjoy it. I'd love it if someone brought me toys every night. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
that's
I have questions.
precious.
It's like, yeah, really cute question though. I love it. Thank you so much.
Cool. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you, everyone, for submitting questions. It was really interesting and insightful. Thank you, Dr. Luqman, for teaching us all about our curious little cat creatures that are all unique in their own way. And we know them best.
Thank you so much for having me again for this session. I love this. Thank you to Isabel for handling the Q&As with you guys, sending them out, getting the questions here. I love reading your questions and like hearing your stories and everything. So please do keep them coming. Yes, and pre-spoiler, but we will officially announce this in the video as well. So you guys will miss this. We are going to be starting a nutrition series with me. Again, we'll be going into a little bit of detail about your pet's nutrition before we jump into the recipes. I promise it's not going to be that complicated, but we will cover some basics before we jump into preparing homemade meals for cats. Again, like I would say, we are not anti-commercial food here. We are just pro option. So if you're looking for an option to switch something up for your cat, you know, we can perhaps give you some guidance on that thing. So that's going to be really fun and exciting. So please do keep it here at Catster. And I personally cannot wait to start that and show you guys how fun and rewarding it can be. So yeah, that's like dying to get it out there. So yeah, please do stay with us for that.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you in the next one. Remember to submit your questions on Catster's Instagram or Facebook or the comments below, or you can email us, whichever way you want. And then we'll be sure to answer some of them in the next episode. Thank you for tuning in and see you next time.
Bye,
Cheers, guys.
Take care.